Okay, we are back for week 7. We are. And I've gotten a really awesome feedback that everyone is loving the storefronts and more of the happy hooses. So today we are going to do something in honor of Bridgerton because I'm a huge fan and season 4 just started. We are going to be drawing the dress shop that they spend a lot of time in, all the characters. It's called La Modiste in the series, and we're going to have Daphne's dress in the front. And then next week for week 8, we're going to be doing Daphne's dress on toned paper. So come back in time with me and let's draw a dress shop. Today we're doing a storefront, and I've been really inspired by going back in time with my drawing club. We are doing a deep dive into the Victorian era, and been doing a ton of research. We've been doing really sweet fashion. But the Victorian era actually starts in 1837. And then I started watching Bridgerton and I was like, oh my gosh, wait, we could do a Bridgerton something for YouTube. So today we're doing La Modiste, which is the name of the dress shop that is always featured on Bridgerton. So I know. So we are going to have a nod to the Bridgerton. Now obviously it's a fictional store, but they often have the main characters twirling around. They're always having dresses made. So I worked some prompts with some AI and then changed the colors and was looking at different things that we could do for today. And I thought it would look so lovely next to we have our patisserie that we've already done. We have our bookstore. So what would the outside of La Modiste look like? That is what we're going to be fancifully drawing today. I'm going to be using the same supplies actually that we did for this one. So that is pencil to sketch, and then we're gonna outline in fine liners, and then we're gonna color in with alcohol markers. And as always, the supply list, the reference, the video, the swatches, and everything is gonna be inside my Neat Suite, and there is links in the description to what the heck the Neat Suite is. But if you are enrolled, you know how special and awesome it is. Okay, 0.5 pencil. We are going to be following along. I'm going to give my Neat Suite members just both of these because they're super pretty. But then I'm going to actually end up, I think, changing the colors a little bit. But we need some sort of, I always work with references, takes all the guesswork out of drawing, and it makes it way more fun. I'm not going to be using any rulers because the wonkier the better. All right, we're going to start with a square. And then just make sure you're going to leave some room here up at the top. All right, so wonky square, we got this, All right, I'm working on Bristol, smooth Bristol. Alcohol markers are big fat babies about the paper that you use. If you don't use the right paper, they are kind of brats and they don't work. So when I tell you to use Bristol, I mean it with my whole heart. You will not be sorry. If you use Bristol, they cooperate, they'll blend beautifully. It's a dream. If you don't use Bristol, it's a hot mess express. Your markers don't work right, and you're gonna think it's you, but it's not you. Your markers are just revolting because you're not using the right paper for them because they're big fat babies. Just calling it like I see it there, markers. I might actually make this bigger because we gotta put a whole dress inside. You know what I'm saying? We need some elbow room in here. We are also going to do Daphne's dress from season 1 next week. So today is like the precursor to our first little dress we're gonna do. And I'm gonna do it on toned paper like we're doing with my drawing club because it's so fun. So fun. Okay, so we have our square. Now let's kind of build out the trim around it. I'm gonna start kind of simple and then we'll dial in the specifics. And if you want this to be wonky, what you could do is just come in a little bit. You could squeeze the sides. That's totally optional. It looks super adorable. So if you love that look, go for it. And I'm just putting trim around it. So we did started with a square, and now we're doing like a square around the square, if you will. Like it looks like an old-fashioned 80s TV. Step 1, draw a TV. Okay, And all this will get fine-tuned with our fine liners. But now let's slow it down a little bit. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna note is that these are a bunch of lines. Now, if you've done the other ones that we've done in the series so far, you'll realize, as maybe by now with architecture, there's just a bunch of lines. Wherever you think there's one line, there's actually three. So we are gonna fine tune this top line, and I'm gonna actually extendo this inside of my 1980s TV. I'm gonna extend the line on either side like that. And then I'm gonna give that a thickness. So I'm just gonna extendo it a tiny bit, and I'm just gonna give it like a, make it have a little bit of a thickness. Don't overthink it. Just draw another little line over it. And now my line is really squidgy, so I'm gonna try to even it out. Okay, and like I said, wherever there's one line, there's actually three. So let's do another one, and I'm just gonna extendo that again a tiny bit on either side and run this wonkily across like that. All right, now we have the kind of signage on top. So I'm just gonna extend up the sides that were already there to some random height. I was gonna say distance, but height. Wherever you think, doesn't matter. It literally doesn't, because we're just gonna fill in with a lovely little archway. So we're gonna just kind of come in on either side, eyeball if it's roughly the same, and then when you think you got it, just swoosh in around the top like that. Oh, it's so beautiful, and we are just getting started. Okay. Now remember, where there's one line, there's actually three. So let's thicken this bad boy up on either side. It's hard. It's hard to go around. Okay. Boop. And with that being in mind, let's thicken up these side lines as well. I'm actually going to take these outside. So I'm going to add another line on the outside here and on the outside here. People keep asking me if I'm going to do a Storefronts book. The answer is probably, but not right now. Right now I'm just going to be on YouTube with you, if that's cool. And yeah, oh, here, look at this. So I just thickened up those lines. Let's do one more line at the top, because where there's one, there's three. And I know you're like, where is that coming from? I actually used to work for an architect it was my first job out of college. I went to did 2 years of a master at Boston Architectural College and learned how to be a draftsman. And so I spent a lot of time kind of narrowing in on these details, which is why I say that sort of in jest, but also with a lot of love and nostalgia, because I always kept remember being like, this is just like do a whole bunch of millions of lines and then you're good. So that being said, I'm going to kind of continue this line and pop it up here. And I do like it's a little detail from the reference I'm going to borrow, which is like putting another little rectangle top here. Just kind of like fancies it up. So same thing here. We're just going to extendo this line up. And then we kind of just put a top on it because we are fancy. Oh yes, super fancy, we guys. What am I even doing here? I'm just extending those lines. And you know what else you can do that's kind of fun is like these little ends. It's another thing they do in architecture. You can do like a boop. You can do like a roundy cap. Let's do a roundy cap, like a half circle. And then you can also do like from here to here, you can have like different shapes. So this one could be like a sweep line. Okay, so that's how they make these trim pieces. Focus. Come on, camera. And yep, whoop, you can make that a little bent line. How to be fancy architectural draftsman. You're welcome. All right. So look how fancy we are. And then I'm just erasing these little bits because when you have pieces of trim like this, they run from one end to the other. So all those little bits, look how beautiful that is. So beautiful. All right, let's just shore up this little detail. What I think I'm gonna do is make these like the details below when you just have a rectangle inside a rectangle. That's what we're gonna do to be fancy here. Rectangle within a rectangle, we'll do the same thing here. So yeah, you can spend a ton of time getting fancy for these. If you want to add, change these, if you can make them plain like this, or you can start adding little rounds or angled lines, as I was just showing you. You can experiment with that. So fun, right? All right, so we kind of fancied up the top. We've ignored the rest of the TV until right now. So let's do the same thing. Let's hone in on some details here. Let's zoom this across. I'm just making this up. And we'll kind of echo what is up there. So let's make this a little ledge. So I'm just going to do another parallel line. I'm going off script a little bit from our reference. Okay. So we have like that little ledge. And then here, let's just do a rectangle inside a rectangle because we're gonna have our pots in front as well. So we don't need to spend a ton of time making that fancy. But as you know, we could do another baby line inside there because where there's one, there's three. I'm not making it up, you guys. Okay, you can do that and it just gets fancier and fancier. But I think that's plenty for now. And then with these leftover columns, oh, I have like multiple things here because I was showing you how to squeeze. But basically I just made a mess instead. This Bristol's also like a dream to erase on. It's so smooth. Oh, I also have a really fantastic, cheap Bristol alternative I will list in the Neat Suite with all the supplies and everything as well. I use it all the time. It's a cover stock. It's basically just Bristol, but it is like super cheap. Okay. And I'm going to do another rectangle inside of this column here. It's just, I mean, really, we're just doing a million rectangles. Whee! Whee! Okay. Now, if you want to get fancy up here, it's actually super easy to do. What we'll do is we'll just take this top section and we're just going to insert like a lot of little trim pieces. We already know how to do that. So it's just a series of lines. So we could have, I'm going to follow the reference now. This one is like a little bit curved on the edge. Then there is a wider piece. And then there is a smaller piece that has like ridges in it. So I'm just going to draw the ridges. It's very akin to like Zentangling, I feel like. And then there is another piece here. So see if I want, and then we're just going to make a new top for the rectangle inside. So if you want to get fancy, that's how you do it. You just start. It's also why they invented the mono eraser, which is so tiny. It's for teeny tiny inside erases. All right, that's how you get fancy. You just have a series of little trim pieces. So then we're going to go over on this side and we're going to do the same thing again. So for the first one, it's just a little bit wider than the top. And that one is like a gentle curved chunk. And then we have a bigger curved chunk. And then we have a narrow chunk. Oh, actually, but it's a little bit thicker with curved things inside. Like nothing we've done so far is hard. It's just just adding on. And then we do the little weird inside loops. I don't even know what these are. And then we do another kind of rectangle, skinny rectangle. And then we're going to just have a new top on that inside. bit, and then we take the world's smallest eraser and we clean it up a bit. All right, now when we zoom out, how's our storefront looking? Oh my gosh, it looks amazing. It actually really does. Okay, this is very exciting. Then we get to go to the next part. I just like put my paper away and I was looking at it and I'm like, this whole thing is like sideways. It's like crooked sideways. Hilarious. If you, oh, let me just show you a little cheat. If you don't want your storefronts and hooses to be crooked, you can take a sheet of paper and do this. Line it up with the top of your pad. Okay, and then look at this. Line it up. Can you see how this is the bottom? And these, look how crooked that is. It goes, whoa. So if you want to straighten it out, scoot your paper over like this. And you can drop down a vertical line if that's bothering you and you want to fix it. That's an easy way to do it. Mine is really very crooked. That is so funny. So while I don't mind it being wonky, I don't really want to look like, I don't want it to look like it's toppling over either. So I'm just squaring mine off a little bit. And then at the bottom too, it's so funny. It was like, whoa. So you can do the same thing. If you want this to be at a flat bottom, line up another piece of paper and just lay it down at the bottom. And then you can use this as a way to kind of level that off. If you care, you might not. So funny. But that was really far off. When I film, I have to like push away the paper away from my face so my head doesn't get in the shot. And that can result in some really funny skewed things happening. But that holds true for everyone. It's always a really good practice to like step away from your work and hold it up vertically in front of your face. Or take a picture midway through. Pictures don't lie. A lot of times they're like, yikes. All right, so that looks a little better. This one I had bowed out a ton, so I could do the same thing here. I can line up. This side is straight and that side was wicked off. So yeah. If you want to help yourself, that's just the easiest way to check yourself before you wreck yourself. You know what I'm saying? I know. But I don't want to get too carried away with rulers. That really like takes all the fun out of it. Okay, sweet. Let's keep it going. All right, I tend to overthink the writing in all of my pieces. So I'm going to try not to overthink it, and I'm just going to do, super fast without overthinking. Just pretend I know what I'm doing. Oh, see? Didn't work out, so I ran out of room, so I'm going to start over. Was going to do the little signage at the top. I did stamps for the bookstore, but I know in my Facebook group, some people were like, oh my God, I stamped it wrong and I ran out of room. So then I was like, okay, maybe we all just do some pencil work first. All right, I just struggled bus for like a stupid amount of time. I hate this, but I'm moving on with my life. It's like taking over and I don't like it. Oh, okay, see, it's still taking over my life. All right, I'm moving on. I am going to, let's do the inside bits right now. So I like this drape in the middle. So it's like a little half circle. It's nice and centered. Whoop. And then we kind of do it again. So it's in thirds. 1, 2, 3. And so sweet. And then there's large curtains on either side. So from those little cracks, we're going to come down. Oh, symmetry is like near impossible, so just do your best. I'm going to draw a little secret line to see if I can aim for that. Good enough. And then this kind of comes in from here And it looks like the letter K. And then this one swings out for here. You could also just have it go just so there's no end. I think you could do that. This does remind me, I was just up in Boston for a couple of weeks. I was on Beacon Hill, which is a lovely, lovely, super posh neighborhood behind Boston Commons, behind MGH Hospital, which is where I was. And oh, the storefronts and the little, the sweet little home fronts on the townhouses are just so darling. And they were all still decorated for Christmas, and it was just so nice. This one I think can be a little deeper for a little drama. Let's get these a little drama deeper. It's the beauty of a pencil. You can just erase. And honestly, you can leave in the first lines too, because we're going to need some of these swag lines anyways. And then we'll actually create some more here too. So these are just the drape line. They show that it's hanging. And then on either end, there's just going to be a little sash or strap. So just draw a little rectangle here at each of these corners, which makes it look like they're gathered, you know, like a belt for the curtains. I'm sure there's some awesome vocabulary word, but I don't have it. So belt for curtains it is, my friends. Draw your curtain belt, then we'll be good. All right, so now we have these. Oh, we need some swishy lines too. These lines just kind of show that the fabric is falling. Okay, and they kind of go in the same direction as these lines. There's more parallel lines. That's the moral of all of these stories, is everything is just more lines. Just add more lines. Fabric, add more lines. Trim, you know what to do. Just add more lines. I know. It's literally how it goes though. You can do this. All right, I feel like I want these to be so swoopy. I don't know why. All right, friends, look at how awesome and how far we've come so far. So awesome. Before I do the dress, I'm actually gonna pop in those two little planters on either side. I like the ones on this reference a little bit better. They're just outside and they're dropped down a little bit. And also though, I feel like my paper is really tall. I'm gonna actually extend. I'm gonna make like an extension at the bottom of mine just to fill my paper in, because I feel like there's an awkward amount. There's like an awkward large amount of paper at the bottom because my paper is so big. I'm actually gonna drop this down. It's like adding a chin. You know when you're doing a face and you run out of room for the chin? I feel like I did that for like 10 years and I just always had to extendo a chin. Well, now I'm extendoing a building chin. Same thing. Just one little chunk. And you can, remember, you can just add more lines. That's all you got to do when you do that. You know what to do. Just add more lines. Now I'm going to put my planters just below this. So if the street is like here and here, basically, the planters are going to drop down. And we're going to do a swoopy line up and a swoopy line up. And then I'll do one at a time. It's probably too hard to see far away. Okay, we're going to cant these. So we did a swoopy line, canted line, followed by a double, tiny double line. Okay, now we have these pots. Zoom. So just draw over this because we're going to erase it. Whatever that pot looks like. And then we're going to do another swoopy line. And another swoopy line. Make the top. Ooh, we can give that a thickness. Just a series of lines. And then we can clean it up. So you got to erase all the wrong lines running through it. So something more or less like that. And I know it looks messy everything looks messy until we fine tune it with our fine liners and things. So don't worry if it looks messy. And then as best you can, oop, that's already too low. Try to see if you can do another one on the other side. So we did a swoopy line first, and then a canted line. Seeing if I can recap. And then we did another line. And then we did a double line. Make a wrap. And then, oh, mine needs to move over more. I mean, these, you know that these shop owners, which are totally real, obviously, go to great pains. Oh, you know, I can do first. Maybe I'll do the pot first, actually, like the outline first, although that's kind of hard. So I know that it's overlapping about the same. And then we do the skinny line at the bottom, and then we put on our base. And you know, as best as you can, just try to make them look similar. You could struggle bus for days trying to do that, by the way, so really don't like sweat it. Just do something close enough. Once we have the dress in there and all the little details, no one's going to notice if your pots are not symmetrical. Trust me. This is Hot Mess Express, though. And also, I think I don't have it like coming in more at the top. Something like this. Just close enough. Okay, it's a little, this one's causing me trouble. Wrap it up, Karen, just do it. Good enough, okay. In case you don't know, my mantra is good enough. As all my awesome art school students know, and it's really a thing. All right, so that looks dainty and cute, and this one looks stupid and not. So, but too late now. All right, we're gonna do ramrod straight centers here on either side. These are so cute, by the way. So ramrod straight, and then there's like 3 little branches that come up. I'm trying to see if I can make these evenish. Okay, there's 3 little baby little spokes, and then this one is so cute. So we'll start, the way we do this is we're going to start with a circle. Okay, but then we're going to like boop, boop. We're just going to do like pokey outy edges. Edges. Just for now, just to start, and then we'll finish it with our fine liners. All right, big circle, pokey outy edges. So cute. And then hold your drawing away from you and see how bad it is, and then fix it. But it is good to take breathing breaks and take all the time you need to get settled with your drawings. If you want to change anything, you're working in pencil right now. You can totally change anything you want. And these also this looks like a drum to me, which I don't find attractive. So take your time, fix the things that you don't like, and then just move on with your day. Now I can't unsee a drum. You know, like the drums you play with your hands? That's what this looks like to me, and now I can't get it out of my head, and I don't like it. Okay, moving on with my life. Finally, we get to the prize in the middle. So, we're having the little mannequin because we are not even getting into people right now, but I'm actually gonna make a cuter little top. So, we have the dress. I think what we need to do first is make a little bit of a floor back there. So I'm gonna just about, I don't know, 2/3 of the way down from our original 1980s TV square. I'm gonna just make a little line across so I know that there's kind of a floor in there somewhere. And then this is a little curved line in so it looks like an interior. All right, now I feel like I can get the dress seated properly, and I like this reference. So I'm gonna actually start at that lovely empire waist, which is very high and very small, just a little belt. See, we had belt for our curtains. Now we have our actual belt. I'm kind of putting mine just slightly over to the left and pretty much in the middle. And then from here, we just have a very simple falling. And actually, did they have trains? Crap, I need to look at my Regency books and see. And then it's just kind of, we can have it come down more if we want. Just have a slightly wavy bottom. I'm gonna have this slightly curved out instead of, mine was kind of going in. And I'm gonna zoom in. Boop. And then we just need to put a little top on this. So we're gonna come out slightly for the bust and then straight up. And this is gonna come just the smallest angled line in the whole wide world. And then let's do the scoop neck. So it's just gonna, from this uppity line, we're gonna come down, scoop across and come up like that to make a U shape. Then we're gonna pop on this little sleeve. So we're gonna do one straight line down. We're gonna do a little curve here. And then we're gonna do a little diagonal cut like that. And then on the far side, we're just gonna do a little curve, diagonal, and then a diagonal line like that. Okay, now we have the top of the mannequin. Okay, so we're just gonna come up like this and up like this. And I might even just put it on like a little slanty top. It looks less creepy than when it's like slanted straight across. And then this one has a little bit of a inside bit, which makes it like look like it has some dimension. So of course that line can now get erased. Any of your other lines. Just gonna pull up Daphne and make sure we did her dress right. Okay, I've been searching Daphne, and yeah, it comes straight down in the front, and then there is a bit of a pool in all of these photos, like of people who have replicated her dress. Although, see how it looks like it's straight down? I don't know that it does flare. So I think what we have is just fine. It just kind of, we just have to have the kind of floaty bottom. And I think that is plenty. And then all we have to do is kind of just put some vague, oh, this is not also really weirdly crooked up here. Okay, we can also have some vague elements in the background, and those are gonna be really, really light. So I'm gonna just put like a little parallel line here with a vertical. This looks like a door open in the back. So we can just have another vertical in the back with lots of lines inside. When in doubt, chuck some lines in, you guys. That's all you need to remember. It doesn't even matter. What is it? I don't know, but there's lots of lines back there. Here's probably like a sewing machine. I don't know how to draw a sewing machine, but there's little bits, but that's going to be faded into the background. This is looking amazing. This is looking so, so good. So I think that we are ready. There are going to be some flowers up here, and there's going to be some more, but I think we're ready to switch to the coloring, which is very exciting. So I got on my little soapbox about fine liners. So you just need to make sure your fine liners are not alcohol based. So don't use Sharpies, because Sharpies are alcohol based and they will super smear. when you go to color this in. So use pigment based, just read your packaging or Google it if you're not sure. I use Molitos because I just love them. And anything that is water soluble, so anything that like gets wet when you add water is the perfect fine liner. Or you can use a pigment pen. You're gonna want 3 to 4 different nibs, so grab a set for yourself. There's like a bajillion sets online. Knockoffs are also amazing and much cheaper than these ones. So I'm gonna do a fat line, like a 0.9 for the outlines. Then I'm gonna do a thinner line, like a 0.5 for the intermediate lines. Then I'm gonna do probably like a 0.2 for things like the drapes. And then we can do like an itty bitty one. That's like a 0.3 maybe. And then an itty bitty one, which I hate, are like a 0.1. And that can be for like the little tiny details, like the little drapery lines and like these background lines, we can do those. Actually, those we should probably not even have an outline for. We can actually just do them with like a light color marker. But they even make like a 0.05, which is ultra skinny for those little faded lines in the background. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna outline all this with our fine liners. Then we are going to scrub, scrub, scrub and get rid of all the graphite that's left over. And then we're gonna color with our alcohol markers, or you can do this with watercolor. Just make sure you're working on watercolor paper. And then you do have to kind of like, you can't like go over aggressively with the markers with your outlines, because you sometimes do get bleeding, and graphite for sure smudges a ton with alcohol markers, which is why we like will scrub our papers to make sure it's free of, what's it called? Free of graphite. It is fine liner time. So I'm using the thickest one first. This is the 0.9. And as you'll see, I sped this up just a hair. It's only twice as fast, so it's not crazy. And it's only because I was wearing my microphone on my sweatshirt and I took my sweatshirt off, so all of the sound for this whole part is lost. But I put my sweatshirt back on later and then it's fine. Also, I'm just outlining things, so it's probably totally fine that this is sped up a little bit anyways. So I'm using the 0.9, which is the thickest of all the nibs that I'm using in this piece, to outline quite literally the entire outline of the whole piece, with the exception of the little topiaries. But the greater outline of everything is with the 0.9, as you see. Done. Now, using the same nib, I'm also going to outline the major features. So that's like the columns, as you can see, just the outlines, the bottom trim of our 1980s TV, the top of it around like the bigger sign, all 0.9, and just finishing off the column on the right. I also did a huge boo-boo when I was carrying my line across. I like went and met up with a different line altogether. So I was laughing a lot about that. And what I did is I kind of just made like the same looking boo-boo on the left, so at least they would match. So that's my biggest advice on correcting giant mistakes like that. So this is still working with my 0.9. Just doing the overall biggest, most important chunks. So what happens is at the end, when you use the smaller and smaller nibs, everything looks like visually, there's a lot of depth because you're using the different alignments. I was also showing a giant mistake also on the right hand side where my column line is like super chopped off, and my whole point there, I'm going to now start using my 0.5, by the way. My whole point there is that like once you get this all drawn and colored, like all those little mistakes, honestly, nobody notices anymore, especially because, and I've already filmed the rest of this, so I know the wall detail doesn't come out that great because I 2 times reached for the wrong marker color. That's right. Not once, but twice. So you can't even see that little column mishap like at all because you're so distracted by the other mishap that came later. So all that to say, literally don't sweat the small stuff because nobody will notice. So for my 0.5, I am doing the next most important features. And I do feel like it was okay to do the details within the columns because the columns frame the whole storefront. So they're pretty visually important, but they're also pretty structurally important as well. So it's not a huge difference visually, but it kind of all makes sense. Once it's all done, you can really see how using the different nibs makes a really cool visual impact. So I'm doing the secondary lines within the columns, within the little trim pieces as well. And also finishing off the detail of the not symmetrical pots on either side. And also doing the drapery bits. Now, not all the lines inside, but the quote-unquote major ones, which again sort of frame the whole storefront. I'm also using the 0.5 to do the little topiary outline bits. These are so cute. Super simple, super straightforward. Just get all of those all outlined as you see fit. Now we're going to switch nibs again. We're going to go one smaller. So this is a 0.3. It's actually two smaller. So now it's sort of like, okay, what is further away from your eye? So that would definitely be her dress, the drapery details. But first we'll finish the dress. So my original sketch had a belt, but I looked at Daphne's pictures again of her dress from season 1, and she actually doesn't have a belt. It's just like a cute empire waist. And so that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to do her dress next week on tone paper. This is a fun little marker version. So just having some swooping lines down from her empire waist and then coming up from the bottom is plenty to show fabric. And then I'm just adding that same little pokey bits. They're like little V's all around in little topiaries with my 0.3 because they're the less significant. This is my 0.1 now that I switched to, and I'm using that to do the folds in the fabric. I think people overcomplicate. It's sort of like hair where you just draw some like swishy lines and like your brain is like, yeah, fabric, I got it. Like you don't actually have to do that much to convey fabric. And then I'm using the tiniest, weeniest one. It's a 0.05 to draw very lightly, just like that there's interior bits hanging on, like that little vase with some flowers and some little scripty poo on the door, as if that's actually the door to get inside. And then we have to do the storefront name. So I chose a similar calligraphy pen. It's in that same pack of Maltos that is included with the other nib widths that I've been using. And I think I used the same one on the patisserie. It's a little rough. It's a little rough. My handwriting is not as good as my drawing. But I just did the best I can. I think it's fine at the end of the day, but woof, it's a little rough. It's a little rough. So I hope you do yours better than mine. But ideally you use the calligraphy pen because it makes some parts of the line like have a thicker weight and the other parts have a thinner weight, but I have zero calligraphy pen skills, so mine are just all fat and stupid. But, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. You just do with life with what you can, and this is all I can do, so I'm all right with that. All right, so you can see a little bit now that it's like all fully lined in. You can see that the difference between the line weights. It's a little harder to make sense of it when you're like going through step by step, but when you step back and you're all done, it makes a little bit more sense. I'm also going back with the 0.1 and I'm adding in the flowers because I completely forgot to add the flowers. And they're what I call kindergarten flowers, where you just do a double circle
for the middle, you do 5 petals around like a kindergartner, and then you just pop on some leaves on either side. I have like 0 flower drawing skills, so all of my flowers and all my projects look like kindergartners did them. They do the job. Once they get all colored in there, they hold their own. So I'm just peppering some up onto the left hand side, and then a few more over on the right hand side. And when it's all said and done, when this is all colored, I have to say those kindergarten flowers really do make a really nice difference, because they are going to be blue like Daphne's dress, and it helps to repeat colors throughout your piece. So there's blue at the top on the flowers, the blue is in the middle on her dress, and then the topiary pots are both going to also be blue, and that way it has a lot of cohesion when it's all said and done. So even though I had a lot of mishaps, it happens, and I just want you to know that you are not alone. I decided instead of doing stones for this storefront, I was actually just going to do some like wavy lines as if this was like a dirt street, because honestly, back in 1813, which is the year that the first season occurs in, they did have dirt roads. It's not like they had asphalt paving, so these would have been very dirty roads. It could have been stone, but this particular one is, it's off of a dirt road apparently. And I decided to add some cracks in the side of the building just for kind of funsies. You'll see what piece of work the background becomes. Not my finest work, because again, I chose the wrong color, not once, but twice. And so I was just dealing with my mishaps as they occurred. But I'm all caught up with the voiceover portion of this video. And now we can go back to real time and coloring it in. All right, friends. So first, we need to seriously get rid of all of that graphite. I was not exaggerating earlier when I said we're going to aggressively erase all the graphite. Graphite smears like crazy when you drag alcohol markers over them. I'm going to use Ohuhu. I like the chisel and brush nib combo. These are actually the bullet nib brush combo, but it's all good as long as I have my brush, and I am fine. Oh, my 86,000 different variations of script for that sign. And also my paper got quite dirty from all the graphite. I'm brutal. So you can also erase that now, which is nice. Get it all cleaned up. Okay, and then we will get coloring in with markers. Okay, so I've pre-swatched lots of colors, and I have my little sheets and references for inspiration. I think I'm gonna do brown. It took me like an hour to pick colors out. I think I'm gonna do brown for this part. Originally I was gonna do these pinks, but I think that would look better if it was brown. And it also then will kind of probably relate more to the patisserie if we put those together in some fashion. Her dress is blue because that's a Bridgerton family color. They all dress in shades of blue, which is so clever. And then yes, brown, and then definitely green. And then I wanna have the gray shades for, I forget. I forget why I had gray shades. I think the wall, the building, oh, who knows, what the heck. And then these, I want them to be pink inside. So that's the plan. Oh yeah, and gray for like the inside area there. All right, oh, last little tiny tweak as I was photographing them. This sleeve, originally it's really supposed to look as if this side is like tilting forward, but really it just looks like stupid, and that these are different. So in an effort to make it less stupid, I'm trying to make that one look a little bit bigger. Again, too late now. Okay, so where are we gonna start? Where do I wanna start? Where do you guys wanna start? I wish you were here. I would ask you that question. Let's start with the browns. And I'm gonna start with the lightest brown. Just start with a light brown, because you can kind of go slowly but surely Oh, I really do not like the bullet end or the chisel end. I really just only like the brush, the brush nib end. So with alcohol markers, oh, you know what? I think I forgot to take a picture. I'm gonna take a picture quick. Okay. I like to give away the coloring page to my Neat Sweet members. When they log in, they can get like the colors and the supplies and the references and the whatevers, but also I like to give them a little coloring page too. It's just a thanks for being here. So I am, and I'll put the info in the description box for you, and for my club members, you get that for free, just as a little reminder. Don't go signing up because you already have it. All right, so when we color in with markers, it's really fun to go, I like to go light to dark, because you can't really go dark to light. And by I can't really, I mean like you really can't go dark to light. They're a lot like watercolors in that way. So it's the fun way to do alcohol markers, and I have oodles and oodles of videos on alcohol markers. I will share some of those with you in the description box. Actually, I have a whole, I think I have 7 books published that incorporate alcohol markers in some way, including my Skin Tone Secrets book, which is all about markers. Remember, I had my screwed up top, where my lines got all wonky. So just starting off with the lightest color, and then we can add in the darker colors as we go, and then that will add more depth and shading. I just realized that side looks really different. Oh, that looks good colored in. Whoop, whoop. All right. And remember, I was talking about all of these oopses. Well, that starts fading away when you add in all the layers and all the colors. So please, take it from me. Take it from someone who screws up literally every single day. It's all good. It really is all good. It will be fine. There's so many things in this life that are stressy, and this ain't it, friends. This ain't it. All right, I'm loving the brown. Every time I say the Browns, I think of one of my best friends in the whole wide world, is their last name is Brown. So I just feel like, Mandy, I'm talking to you, girl. Mandy Brown. All right, so just doing nice, even strokes. Alcohol markers can be very streaky. Streaky is what I meant. I just realized this has no like decor in the bottom. Well, I'm just gonna, it does go to the bottom here. So I have to actually color that to the bottom, or else that's just weird. Unless that's like a step. There's also no door, which I'm just realizing. I think the door is around the corner. Don't you think so? I think so. Oh my God. Okay, so that was the lightest brown, E220, but they've freaking, oh, I'm a little annoyed. They have changed the names of all their colors. So they've re-released like the same sets, and then they've changed all the numbers of all the numbering systems, which honestly, it's not cool, oh hoo hoo. It's not cool that you did that. Now everybody's got to like, go Google what the colors are. I'm really annoyed by that. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so I'm referring to my reference so I know how to add cool effects on the brown. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the darker shade of brown, and we're gonna pretend that there's just a lot of shading all over the place. So actually, I might actually have to use my bullet nib tip on this. Ooh, I don't usually like it. It comes on a little too strong. But say this is trim, which it is. There's always a little lip overhang from the top one onto the bottom. Ugh, I do not like the bullet nib. Zoop. So there's gonna always be a little shadow line on those spots. Does that make sense? So like this is gonna overhang over this. That's why the shadow goes under it. And you can kind of repeat that like everywhere. And even though it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, it actually looks really nice when you're all done. So we can just go along and add it to the bottom. And then usually you also pick a side. So like it'll overhang here. We'll just do all of these first. All of these areas. You get to look at all your mistakes again as you lay eyes on this. You're like, yee. You're like me anyways. That's what I'm saying. Yikes. Yikes alive. All right, I'm gonna do that. Even if you just tuck like a strip of darker underneath them, it makes sense. Even if it's not actually accurate, it still looks better than if you do nothing. Isn't that so weird? And then also pick like a side. Either pick the left side or the right side. I'm gonna pick the right side. Okay, that gives it poof, way extra shading as well. Look at that. See how it like jumps out at you? All right, so we're gonna layer a dark under all the lines. And then if there's any vertical sides like these, we're gonna do it along the right side. You just have to be consistent. Just pick one and then repeat it. So here's my dark stripe. This is like testing all powers of my hand control. Look, I didn't even hit it on the side right. I keep going like off. And then we're gonna have more shading under here because this is gonna be a big lip. Oof, the bullet is a struggle bus for me. Oh! And then inside here. And then along the right. And then where else? Under here will be a big lip. Oh, it's so squeaky. It has opinions. And again, even if these are wrong, just adding something is better than adding nothing. Weird, but so true. All right, look at, oh, sorry, that was off camera the entire time. That is my bad. I got so sucked in. Okay, so I just followed suit. I did darker lines under each of these, and then I did it along this side because that was the deal. We did it on the right side, and then, oh, yeah, and then this right side. Oh, no. Yeah, that would still cast a shadow that way, and that way. All right, again, don't overthink it. It's not making our lives work. We're just having a happy Wednesday. Okay, that looks better than I thought. And I thought it was gonna look pretty good. All right, now just for funsies, I really wanna do the drapes for some reason. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna start with the lightest color because it's just less scary if you take it slow. So I'm gonna have these all pink, but like, we're gonna do what we did with the brown and add the different colors. So it should not be boring. I watched a whole YouTube video yesterday on the meaning of the Bridgerton dresses and the colors. Like when Penelope in season 3, you know, she always wears yellow and she looks terrible in yellow, and they do that on purpose. And then when she, sorry, spoiler, if you're new to Bridgerton, you better get on it because it is an awesome show if you love costumes and historical fiction and pretty British accents if you're American like me. But then it was like they put her in this putrid yellow, and her family color were these like awful citruses, whereas the Bridgertons were like these beautiful shades of like powdery blue. Super, like they're conveying so much with the color palette between each family, which I was sort of like, I kind of definitely like picked that up unconsciously, but
to hear somebody talk about it so definitively was like, oh yeah, so that's totally on purpose. And of course, and then it made so much sense. And then as Penn gets closer to Colin, her clothes at the end, when they're starting to get like finally romantic, is like being picked up on, her romantic vibes. Her clothes turned from yellow to green because her yellow of the Featheringtons was starting to like mix with the blue of the Bridgerton, which is why she was wearing green. And I was like, okay, that is, I think that, I'm sorry, but that's like the coolest thing I've ever heard. That's so smart and so clever and like sneaky and amazing. So I had to share that with you. Okay, so I did the lightest pink to start, but there's all these really pretty folds and I want to make sure that that is picked up. So I'm going to use the next shade of pink, which is this R9 on this set anyways. And I'm just gonna like where I had those lines, I think I'm just gonna add a swoop. I'm gonna add a swoop of this darker color. And also, yeah, I'm kind of trying to, I'm like doing a little flicky thing because I don't want my lines to be too heavy. So I'm starting and then I'm flicking. So starting and then flicking. And actually probably along here will be shaded as well. So you can either use a different color, but I'm just going to use the same color, pink. And we're doing this flick. I have so much erasering bits around. Flick, flick. And then along the side. And then we have our drape belt. I can't wait to hear the comments. It's not a drape belt, it's this. I know I will get yelled at for my lack of vocabulary. So now it looks a little bit more drapey. We could even go one step further and do an even darker shade. But I don't feel a strong need to. But if there's any like super small gathers, we could kind of do them here and there. And maybe up under here where it would be like for reals shaded because the curtains would be lapping over each other. Lapping is probably not the right word. Ooh, and I'll make the belts this darker color. Oh, I wish they were called belts. I know they're not, but it would be funnier if they were. All right, so we have some of those little wispies drawn everywhere. I think I'm gonna make this, the back of the sign, the light pink also. I think that will kind of look nice, I hope. I'm just hoping. And then I need to make sure that I leave some room for my florals. And I'm just moving my marker in a speedy way that helps tremendously with streaks. Another way to combat streaks is actually you could do this, where you make soft, not soft, but swirly lines. Remember, don't hang out too long over your fine liner lines, just in case there is some smudging. Sometimes there's also like sneaky graphite that you didn't erase. Not that you forgot, but that just you missed somehow. That happens as well. So we don't like to linger with alcohol markers. It's quick. And if you want to get rid of streaks, then you can use these little tiny circular motions, almost like colored pencils. Speaking of colored pencils, they work fantastically over alcohol markers. So you can use those to deepen any shades. Just squeezing in here my horribly formed letters that took me umpteen tries.
It looks like I'm not having any blending issues. But you know, sometimes I say that and then there are bad ones and it's like, I'm so sorry. Oh, now, see, I said that and that one totally just smeared. And because I picked up my marker, I like picked it up and then I put it somewhere else. And now there's just a random dark spot. Again, it happens. Like, no project is perfect. Don't sweat it. Just say what I say. Too late now and move right on. Just move. Move on with your life. So many things we control. And whoop, there's another one. Just getting a little sloppy now. All right, so by the time you zoom out, you can't really see those. At least you hope. Now, real quick, alcohol markers are blending awesome. So you can even do like a second coat with the same color and you will be able to get it slightly darker. So say you had an area like that and you're like, oh no, how do I fix it? You could just do a little bit of a second coat perhaps, and that might distract someone's eye from maybe one of those spots that was less than perfect. All right, I think that looks nice. I already can't wait to add the blues and the greens because this desperately needs it. So again, I'm gonna do her dress next. So I'm starting with my lightest blue since actually her stuff that dress really is just a powdery blue. I already went outside the lines. I'm telling you, every project. Now for this, you can kind of use the streaks to your advantage. So if you drag your marker wing, this way and kind of lift it, you can get streaks and it adds to the effect of the dress actually. Ooh, until you drop your marker like I just did. And you make a random mark. At least I dropped it inside of her dress. All right, so you can, this is like hair. You can kind of go from the bottom up or the top down. But it looks super duper pretty. This is gonna be the same blue as these flowers. So I'm going to just messy these flowers in. It's gonna be just a beautiful matchy composition where we're just taking the same colors and then we are repeating them in different places throughout the piece. Look at how cute my kindergarten flowers are. And if we wanted to do, she has some like there's a little bit of jazz happening on the top of her dress. So you could actually take the same color and add some dots to the top. And if it doesn't show up, you can do that in the second darkest color. So speaking of the second darkest color, I will grab it right now while I sing the song to you. Okay, now this is the second darkest, so we can add that in the top of her dress. Those little polka dotties. And we can also put those in like the gathers at the top. That's all we need, just a little touch. Little touch will do it. And again, if you're really scared about building up color, then just do them really slowly like I'm doing. If you like bold color, which I also really enjoy, you can come in here with a much bolder color. I'm gonna put like the middle of these dots. I'm gonna use the darkest blue. Just for shits and giggles. And then I cannot wait for the green. So I'm gonna add the green right now. Same thing, I think this light one, it's gonna like barely even show up. But just take your lightest green and that's gonna go towards the top. Gosh, I'm not doing well. The top of the topiary. Squiggle it around. All right. And you can see all of my colors I swatch are kind of like lightest to darkest. So it doesn't matter what your colors are, just choose ones that are lightest to darkest and you're good to go, regardless of what colors they are. And then here's the second one. So I'm going to leave the top and I'm going to do, oh, I just smeared some. It happens. Now I'm going to do the second, and I'm just doing crazy squiggly lines. And then I'm going to take the third one and I'm going to do another, and I'm just leaving more of the previous colors exposed, but it's looking a little bare, so I might have to go back and add a little bit more on top. Now I think this is a good green to start with these little flowers on top. So I'm going to do that. Going out of the lines like a artist barbarian. And what's cool about the little, well, if we want to do more of the little green, we could add some more greenery. Maybe around. You won't be able to add it on top because alcohol marker ink is not opaque. But you could add some more like tumbling down the sides if you wanted to. That would be really cute. And then you just keep going down your color ladder. So here is the darkest. Actually, it's not. I had picked out even one more. You want to go all the way down the green hill, and you just keep going until you're at your darkest. So just do some underneath here. We are so fancy. And that first green is so light. I'm going to go back in with the second green and just add some more squiggles so they look a little bit more fuller. And then with my darkest brown, which is YR10, I'm going to color in these. Ooh. Now, it would be really cool if I actually made the pots blue also. I think that would be super cool, so I'm going to do that. Otherwise, we could make them brown, but that's like kind of boring. I think it would be cute if they were blue. So I'm going to start on the lightest. And we can have, here, we can have green bits kind of flowing at the top. Like I'm just taking inspiration from my printouts. There were some green bits here in the top. Just doing green polka dots. And then they could be in like brown dirt. Wow, we are getting really fancy for these pots. And then we could have a blue pot. And so to keep consistent with our kind of lights and darks, then the left side of the pots are going to be light and then they're going to be darkest on the other side. We're matching our topiaries. So is this the lightest color? Yes, it is. Ooh, we can even keep a strip of white if we want to be super fancy. Okay, and then come over here, keep another strip of white. And of course, we can always add white highlights in afterwards too. And then we go darker. So what's the next one? Okay, and then we go over here. So I'm doing, let me slow down for a second. So I'm doing a small single strip on the left, and then I'm leaving a gap, doing the whole top. Okay, and then the rest of this will be the darker color. Then we do the third color. And we leave a little gap. And actually this will go across the top. I'm being super messy. And then we can go over here, do the same thing, leave the space. And then you can keep going as far as you want. I think I only have one more. Let's do it. Here we go even further. Oh, I didn't have any of that on camera whatsoever. All right, and so you might be like, but now there's this stupid line between your colors. There is. So what you can do is take a lighter color. This is color number 2 I'm using. And you can blend them together. Take number 2 and blend them together. You can even take color 1, which doesn't add any color really, but it will also help blend these beasts together. Just literally like re-wets them all. And it helps to blend them together. Look at our little pots. When you zoom out, they look so cute. So now we have the blue repeated. All right, so now what's the only color family we have left? We have these, we have the building itself, we have the inside. So I think I was gonna use, let's see, I was gonna use a gray for the inside, but I might, maybe we can use a little bit of the color, but I'm gonna start with the outside building and like just kind of try it on for size with the grays. And then go from there. I think gray is a cool building outside. And like the other ones, I'm gonna start with the lightest color. It's less intimidating. And I'm just gonna do the, is this the lightest color? Oh, shoot, nope, I grabbed the wrong one. This is the second lightest color. And I'm just gonna flick, but too late now. As you know, this is my, now I wish this was a chisel nib because I don't like this, I don't like how thin these look. So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna start with this and then I'm gonna switch to a lighter color and kind of extend those lines. And then in between these little flowers, I gotta be a little bit more careful. Kind of color them in. Whee! And go this way. Yeah, I don't like these thin strips, so we'll have to fix that. But right now, we are just getting the white of the paper colored in. Baby steps. And we gotta tiptoe around here. Get these colored in. I'm like bonking into my building. It's fine. Do. It's very relaxing. I really like the gray and the brown. That was a good choice. I always get nervous. Oh no, how do I go around my little topiary friend? I guess I'll just kind of do what I did. I think I'm gonna just cover over the stem, just pretend it's not there. Is it weird that the building disappears? Maybe it looks okay, I guess, if we're consistent. It's just easy for me to like line up the side because I'm lazy basically, and this is fast to do it like that. All right, now if I zoom out, does it look weird with all those little marks? Yeah, it kind of does. So I'm gonna go with the lighter. This is where a chisel is nice. And oh my God, I did it again. I went to did the darker one instead of the lighter one. Oh, guys. Well, now you can see it's not just you. I make all sorts of mistakes. All right, well, I'm gonna, apparently I'm gonna do this, which is very, I have some that are, here, we'll try that if it's crooked. Oh, that looks stupid, but now I've started something, so now I have to kind of finish it. That is hilarious. Of course, I grabbed the wrong one. Good Lord, where's the right one, Karen? Slow down. Here it is. It was just hiding this whole time. All right, so what I'm gonna do with my lightest color, I'm gonna try to keep the horizontal shape. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just making this up as I go. This could be super stupid also. But at least next to my little terrarium friend, the dark gray looks so stupid. Oh, that's so funny. It's like so classic. So if I don't like this, I'll probably will have to then just color off the page like neatly. I just really like the flick I did on the patisserie. I was trying to recreate that magic, but instead I'm just making a mess. Look at the stupid dark marks. That looks so dumb. Oh, boomer. I totally screwed that up. That is so funny. So maybe, all right, so it looks a little bit cooler. All right, it looks a little bit cooler if it's like dark all the way around. Almost like it's a shadow. So I'm gonna spend a moment doing that. I got myself into a pickle. So now I have to get myself out of the pickle. Speaking of pickles, this should also be a shadow. So I'm gonna make this have a shadow over here. Oh, I can even go darker with that. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Now I'm getting ruthless with the shadows. I'm so annoyed at myself. Okay, droop. And then this is gonna be a big, ginormous shadow. We gotta go all the way. All right, so I decided to hug this darker gray around, all the way around the building, just because I can't think of what else to do. Weasel in some dark gray in between these flowers. It looks a little bit better, but still pretty high on the stupid scale. But it does look a little bit better that it's it's darker at the edges. What if, where am I here? There's one even darker. What if I went even darker around? Now I'm kind of like digging it. Now I'm like, okay, all right, we've like committed to something here. So what if we went all the way the darkest? I mean, freaking, we've already jumped in the lake. We might as well swim. How does that look? Oh, I liked it better one step before. Okay, well, too late now. But also, this kind of exact situation that I'm in, put myself in right now, is exactly how you learn stuff. Instead of like freaking out, I could have been like, I'm so embarrassed, I'm gonna stop. Like, actually be like, no, for reals. Like, how would you fix that? Like, what would you do to make it so that you don't hate it? Like, there's kind of always something that you can do. All right, ew, there's a hair in there. All right, I don't like that. So I'm gonna try to like blend it with one shade up situation. That looks a little bit better. I refuse to give up my horizontalness that I don't know why. I feel very married to this, making these marks. Okay, that looks a little bit better. It looks a little bit more cohesive. I still like this side though better than this side, but maybe I'll just leave this side as more like the shaded side. So what, and then I will double down on all of this entire idea. So I'll make this one even darker. So it's like everything on the right is really shady, apparently. All right, that was an adventure that I didn't know I was gonna go on, but here we are. I'm gonna also do a really dark shade around the little flowers on the right. Consistency is super helpful. What is R1? I'm gonna make this flower look like it's shady on that side too. I'm also gonna add a second layer of the darkest, not the darkest, the third shade of the pink and put it around the sign, kind of like it is the shadow line, but we're just gonna be using it in the same color family. We've made enough bold mistakes for one day. Well, that looks nice. Now I'm just gonna rim it as if it's not a shadow, but just because I think it makes good color sense. And that looks nice. Yeah, that background, that really, grabbing the wrong color 2 times was definitely threw me for a loop. And oh, okay, this, oh my God, I did it again. I just did it again. You know why? Because, what is wrong with me? Because the lightest color is CG030, and then the third one is 03, and so I just keep seeing the 3 and grabbing it. But actually, that is the 4th darkest color, this project. Now it's too dark on that side. This is where the quit while you're ahead expression comes to mind. Oh, it has a lot of right side drama. And then I can also just repeat all of this on the left side, but I'm okay. I kind of really like this strong shadow situation that we have over here on the planters. I think that looks cool. All right, hilarious. Okay, let's get in that shop. I think maybe one of the browns, like a light brown would be nice, and then like a gray floor. What's the lightest gray? Not that one, Karen. For goodness sake, why can I just take a moment to read the right thing? Okay, so this is the lightest gray, and I think that would look good, I think, on like this part. And then I might make the floor like something else. Just gonna run this over quickly. I don't really want it to take any attention away from her dress, and if it does, I will have to darken the dress because that's not really cool if we're gonna steal the attention away from the dress. And I want to keep my lines kind of consistency because these markers do get streaky. Just move fast. Excuse me, little mannequin. Thank you. Try not to double up any lines because those lines will look different. Oh yeah, I had my little vase in the back apparently that I also forgot all about. Okay, I think I will continue with that. And I think that dress is just gonna have to get a little bit bolder. Don't you think so? Yes, I think we have no choice because it's gonna get lost. So I'm gonna take the 4th. I'm gonna go here, sorry, the 3rd. And we're gonna steadily increase our dress. So I'm gonna put bolder dots on the top. And then I'm gonna put some darker bits on the sleeves and maybe just have darker like gathers perhaps. And let's also come up. Oh, this is much too dark. So I'm going to go to the second color. Karen, read the whole color. And then we kind of need to do that over again because the difference between the third and the first is way too much. All right, and then we'll use some white to like punch this up. Now that mannequin, I think should be the brown color, one of the brown colors. Oh, I do that. This should be the lightest brown color. Oh, I do not like that whatsoever. And let's do the lightest green for the floor of the shop. Just to keep our theme going. All right, I'm excited. We are on the home stretch after debacling so much of this. All right, I'm gonna drop a shadow under the dress. I'm gonna do the middle, the second shade. So kind of like squiggling it around the bottom. And on the side, as if it's, you know, like up against the wall a little bit. So it comes out at us. And then for the ground, like the pavement, I think it just has to be, oh, we could do it a darker brown. Let's do it the darker browns. So that would be BR2, where are you? Where are you, BO2, BR2? We can do the darker. And then we have the darker even still. Oh, that's a purple. Oh, I almost just used the purple, you guys. What is wrong with me? Okay, YR10, here we go. Jeez. This is the darkest. I'm going for it. I feel like I'm a glutton for punishment. So let's go. I'm gonna have to redo the plant shade over it, I think. Oh, it's so juicy. And then we can kind of just ease our way done. And then if we need to re-shadow, just make sure you pick the right color. I'm gonna re-shadow this guy. And this one. Okay, we already have our sharp shadows in there. Oh, God, I struggled bust for so long on this stupid wall that like all of a sudden we're done. And I'm like, wait, I don't want it to be over yet though. This is the lightest color again. I'm obsessed with the messy outside. I'm willing this side to blend together. Scootle around our plant. This side, I should have kept it. Look how nice that is. Look how stupid that side is. Oh well, that's where we are. All right, last but not least, what do we need to level this up? Well, we need some white, really is what we need. We need some white. And I think those top blue little flowers can also use another little burst, oh yes, of some more blue. Just like we had to punch up her dress, I think we need to punch up these flowers a bit more. Just randomly. Oh, it's coming together, minus our wall of shame. Let's see. All right, let's finish this sucker up. Let's put I'm gonna put some dots I'm going to put some dots up here in the sign just for interest. Because, you know, and also on the walls, we have some cracks and things. And then, you know, it's an old building. Might as well accentuate our weird features instead of run from them. Put those down, put some more striking ones down here. All right, we need some more white in our lives. Where are we gonna put the white? Let me see the patisserie sign. How did I do that? Oh yes. Oh my gosh, look what I did. In creating this, I've been bending this as hard as I can. You guys, this is not my best work today. All right, what I really liked and was gonna do was taking this white and slanting it across, because that will definitely, this is all behind glass, the curtains, the dress, the everything. So we definitely need to get some streaks going. And you cannot be soft about this. You have to just get it going so that it's super clear. That's what that is. I just ordered my 5th Copic white. I use this stuff like it is my job. Oh wait, it is my job. Okay, so we have the glass. So now it looks super realistic. So we got our glass is all shiny. Now where else can we put the white? Just gonna literally make sure it's very obvious as to what that is. And this is dried up, so I'm going to switch to Posca pen, which is not as good, but it's what I have. And I also like to add the little bits on the sign. Just kind of makes it a little less like stiff looking. It only shows up half as well as my Copic white does. We could also put some on her dress. Just little polka dots of white. You cannot see a thing. I'm so far zoomed out. So I'm just popping in some whites. You can put some white on her sleeves. So now that it's like darling, we could even put some around the bottom of her dress. And we're gonna do her dress next week on toned paper. Oh, now we're talking. So sweet. We can put some white leaves on our little topiary as well. Kind of get those. You can also put some, remember how we have like we have all of the shady regions, but we can also have some highlighted regions. You could do some white dots as well. Look how cute those look. So cute. Cute, by the way, is a very valid way to operate if you want to add things just because they're cute. We can have some here. You can also put some white highlights in the curtains themselves, but I don't want to overdo it because I would rather these streaks, so it's super clear that that is glass. So, what do you think? What do you think of La Modiste? Do you think the Bridgertons would like to go shopping there? I mean, I know that's where they already go. You think I would like our versions? I don't know. I certainly hope so. If you want to share your better version than I did with me, you can share it in my Facebook group. I have a free Facebook group. Just search Awesome Art School groups to find it. And when you post, I'm a little obsessed with these Topiary shadows, by the way. Use Karen's YouTube hashtag, because not only will it help me find you, but it will enter you to win one of my free art books for free. And I draw winners every single month on the 1st. I've been doing this, not sponsored by Meta, it's all me.
And it's just my way to say thank you so much for hanging out with me every week. I really appreciate it. And encourages you to actually do art. Don't just watch YouTube videos, but actually create with me when we are together on Wednesdays doing new videos. And I really look forward to seeing some awesome little dress shops this week. I'm still fighting my background. Maybe we just have to come to terms with the fact that we're gonna have to just do all of it solid. That might be the only solution. But I'm also having a really fun time just messing around, you know? It's like, when do you get to just mess around with things? All right, let me know what you think of the background. Let me know what you did. So show me by joining my Facebook group, and let me know in the comments, what suggestions do you have to make a background that is not super cringe? Oh, and if you want to do the patisserie and the bookstore and some of the happy hooses, then click this playlist right there. I'll see you in one of those videos. All right, bye.